Welcome to AK Anime Explainer. Today is explanation of Soul Land 3, Legend of the Dragon King Part 126. Without any delay, start explanation. Shulishi had used controlling crane, capturing dragon to stop and gather the arrow feathers in his hands, redirecting them to Zhongshining with fairy scatters flowers. They whizzed through the air faster than before. At the same moment, Shulishi reached Jiyu Qianming. Faced with the hulking young man before him, Jiyu Qianming found it hard to split his attention efficiently between protecting Zhongshining and dealing with Shulishi. His second soul ring lit up and his wings doubled in size. As he spread his wings as wide as possible, an attempt to intercept all of the incoming feathers, he used his second soul skill, Eagle Wing Strike. Yet to his disbelief, the fatty grinned. Shulishi thrust out his hands and stopped in midair just short of crashing into Jiyu Qianming. Something shot out of the flat of his palms, a cold glint to his eyes. It swerved past Jiyu Qianming and flew straight for Zhongshining. This was Shulishi's real attack. The feathers he returned had merely been a distraction. The second before Eagle Wing Strike connected, Shulishi waved his hands at Jiyu Qianming, his grin growing wider. Not good. But it was too late for Jiyu Qianming to save Zhongshining. Despite blocking most of the incoming feathers, a couple had passed through his defenses. Zhongshining was a control type, but his control ability stemmed from his voice. While his control power was higher than most of his teammates, he was weak in direct confrontation. All Zhongshining could do was bat his wings forcefully in a bid to dodge the feathers, and even then he had barely managed to evade a fatal wound. The feathers streaked across, swift and sharp, leaving long crimson lines of blood in their wake. Right as he was about to let out a sigh of relief, he caught sight of a flash in his peripheral vision and turned toward it. His stomach dropped. A torrent of needles pursued him in a deadly chase, hundreds in number, imbued with thick soul power. He had no avenue of escape. What? A sigh reached his ears, then a series of tinkling sounds filled the air. His body fell limp to the ground. Zhongshining is eliminated, Li Zhilong declared. He had been forced to intervene and save his student. Their first exchange against a team without any flying types, and already one of their important control types was eliminated. Shrek Academy truly was the academy of monsters. Zhongshining flushed red with fury. He couldn't accept such a quick elimination. But the match was treated as if it were an actual battle to the death. His incredulity meant nothing. Shulishi tumbled toward Tang Wulin. Seconds prior to impact, Tang Wulin held out his hands and used controlling crane, capturing dragon, gently depositing his teammate at his side. Shulishi tossed Tang Wulin a pork bun in gratitude, and Tang Wulin immediately devoured it. Meanwhile, Xie was nearly upon Han Yuchang. Control types restrained agility types, but that was only when they had the space to do so. Xie was already within engagement distance. Despite being forced to enter close quarters combat, Han Yuchang kept her cool. Her second soul ring lit up, though no visible change occurred. She pulled on the air in front of her and batted her wings. Xie felt the world warp with him situated at the center, colors stripped from everything around him, leaving behind shades of morose black and blinding white. The shapes before his eyes bent and stretched, finally collapsing into themselves like dying stars. He could vaguely make out Han Yuchang in front of him, so he pressed on. He raised his light dragon dagger and slashed at what he believed to be her. It caught nothing but air. Pain seared his shoulder, angry and sharp, and with no foothold, he was falling to the ground. From the perspectives of the others, Xie had moved to the side on his own accord and slashed at air. Afterward, Han Yuchang had flown over and heel-kicked his shoulder, launching herself to a higher altitude simultaneously. Tang Wulin's eyes went wide. She's a spiritual control type too. Xie would never have missed by such a large margin. The only possible explanation was that Han Yuchang had hindered his senses. As Xie continued to free fall, the thick scent of combustion spread nearby. Rather than from Jiyu, the flames belonged to Li Yao. It was difficult to discern which of her soul rings had lit up. Still, it was clear she was using a soul skill. She curled up in the air and her body transformed into a boulder. Flames spurted out of her rock form and propelled her at Xie. Her speed was simply overbearing. What kind of martial soul is that? A meteor? Tang Wulin wondered. Even as an agility type, there was no way Xie could dodge an attack while he was falling through the air. Furthermore, agility types had weak defenses. It was clear that Li Yaoyao and Han Yuchang had used this tactic many times before. Ji Yuyu released a fireball to intercept Li Yaoyao. Yet she simply charged through it, ignoring the flames. Left to his quick thinking, Tang Wulin tugged on the blue-silver grass tied to Xie, jerking him out of Li Yaoyao's path. However, that didn't stop her. Free falling, she changed her target to Tang Wulin instead. As the captain and an assault control type, it was obvious he was the heart of the Shrek Academy team. Therefore, if she took him down, the tides of the battle would turn. Even so, Tang Wulin barely batted an eyelash at Li Yaoyao. Rather, he whipped the blue-silver grass tethered to Xie, tossing his teammate back at Han Yuchang. Meanwhile, Yi Xinglan and Xiao Tiantian had engaged in combat as well. Yi Xinglan became one with her sword as she brandished it, using Sword God's Star. Xiao Tiantian's starlight aura flared. His wings stretched as wide as possible, and he thrust his palms at Yi Xinglan. A giant crimson ball of light formed before him, obstructing Yi Xinglan's approach. Sword God's Star burst out, countless golden stars blossoming around her. All of the stars in the sky seemed to grow brighter at that moment. She slashed apart the crimson ball and drove her sword at Xiao Tiantian. He was shocked. Never had he expected Yi Xinglan to be able to draw power from starlight as well, and that she could harness more stellar energy than him. His third soul ring lit up, and a pair of horns sprouted from his forehead. Crimson electricity crackled along his body, forming a protective sphere around him. Yi Xinglan's sword screeched as she slashed at the electric barrier. Unfortunately, it bounced off without a scratch, and with nothing to keep balance, she began to tumble through the air. All of a sudden, her third soul ring came to life. Light flared around her. Her body began to float, defying gravity. Then she soared. What? Li Zhilong stared in shock. Like Xiao Tiantian, he could tell that Yi Xinglan's martial soul was related to stars, otherwise she wouldn't have been able to harness the stellar energy. Apprehension creeped into his heart. On a different side of the battlefield, Li Yaoyao descended upon Tang Wulin a mere second after he had whipped Xie back at Han Yuchang. The howling winds accompanying her fiery dive blew his hair out of place, the scorching heat drying his skin. Awe was kindled in his heart for her explosive power. Tang Wulin stood his ground before this meteor. Golden scales rippled into existence along his right arm and his hand transformed into a dragon claw. He clenched his claw into fist as he urged the blood essence within him to flow in reverse. A golden aura encased him. Unlike with the others, this aura wasn't from harnessing stellar energy, but stemmed from his blood essence's might. He threw a punch straight at the meteor. A shockwave tore through the stage when fist and meteor met, kicking up a cloud of dust. Time seemed to freeze. Everyone spared a moment from their battles, eager to witness the result of the clash, ensnared by the incredible development. Li Yaoyao's martial soul was in fact a meteor, and her attack was the embodiment of power. By relying on the jets of flame shooting from her back, she could mimic flight, propelling herself to high altitudes and crashing into her target upon free fall. Her assemblage of soul skills revolved around empowering this method of attack. With her 4 rings, a full-power assault carried the force of over 3 tons. Even if she somehow missed, there was nothing to stop her from trying again. Coupled with the defensive strength of a meteor, this proved to be a terrifying combo. With her ability to change targets mid-flight, she was their team's trump card, her presence enough to suppress the entire battlefield. However, adjusting her flight path toward Tang Wulin would have been unnecessary. He had not attempted to dodge. In their explosive collision, both stood their ground, neither gaining an inch on the other. How is this possible? Li Zhilong dashed over to the side, prepared to intervene at a moment's notice. No matter which side lost, he had to be ready to save them. His eyes went wide at the conclusion of the clash. Cracks lined the area of impact. They rapidly spread to every corner of the meteor, and a blink later, the meteor shattered into 1,000 smithereens. Li Yaoyao groaned as she crawled out of the debris. Before she could escape, a strand of blue-silver grass shot out in her direction, wrapping around her body. Her complexion pale, she trembled uncontrollably from pain. However, the trembles of her heart were far stronger than those of her body. How did he do that? He stopped my full-power attack with a single punch. Tang Wulin shook his right arm in an attempt to alleviate its numbness. That was a pretty strong attack. Indeed, for Tang Wulin, her attack was only pretty strong. Of the Sky Order Star Ocean Academy team, Li Yaoyao was the second person to be eliminated. Tang Wulin raised his head and looked toward Yi Xinglan's battle. She descended with her third soul skill, Starfall Sword. In this observatory filled with stars, she streaked across the air like a comet. The strongest attack Tang Wulin had ever witnessed her unleashing. Stellar energy really is useful, especially for us. Xiao Qianqian put on a grim expression as his fourth soul ring lit up. Darkness obscured his face, leaving only a pair of crimson eyes piercing through the shadows. Inky black flames blazed around him. He drew circles in the air with his hands, gathering darkness into something reminiscent of a whirlpool. Yi Xinglan charged forth into the dark rotating mass with Starfall Sword. Her whole form was swallowed by the darkness. For a moment, it trembled. Then, it collapsed. When the light and darkness settled down, both Yi Xinglan and Xiao Qianqian were nowhere in sight. Tang Wulin gaped. What happened? Did they teleport? Wait, no. There weren't any spatial fluctuations. As he stood there in shock, Xiao Qianqian reappeared in mid-air following a flash of crimson. But Yi Xinglan was still missing. What kind of soul skill is that? Farther off in the battlefield, Xiao Qianqian spread his wings as he steadied himself. He dove through the air heading straight for Guu. During his descent, he unleashed a crimson sphere at Tang Wulin. Once near its target, the sphere burst into a black hole, sucking Tang Wulin toward its center. At the same time, numerous bamboo leaves ripped through the air, obscuring their summoner's, Yizishu's, figure. 7 of the leaves absorbed the surrounding stellar energy and took on a golden hue. Yizishu's martial soul was the 7-star bamboo. Each soul ring gained would advance his martial soul another step. His ability to fly stemmed from one of those evolutions. These 7 golden bamboo leaves were his strongest method of attack and utilized his 4th soul skill. In the opening acts of battle, his team was already 2 people short. Although the students from Shrek Academy had lower cultivation levels than his team, their combat strength far surpassed the norm. If his team couldn't turn the tide of battle now, then they would have no chance of victory. Therefore, he unleashed his full power along with Xiao Qianqian. His main target, the opposing team's captain, Tang Wulin. Meanwhile, Jiyu Qianming spread his wings and threw himself at Xie, positioning himself in front of Han Yuchang. Han Yuchang's 4th soul ring shone. The thin, colorful membrane sprouting from her back doubled in size. She turned to face Tang Wulin, flapping them in her 4th soul skill, butterfly wings. The world seemed to spin as a spiritual wave crashed into Tang Wulin. He could tell in an instant that Han Yuchang's spiritual power resided in the Spirit Sea realm, just like Guu. Tang Wulin's own spiritual power was only in the border of the Spirit Sea realm, still a step short from lying within. The Spirit Sea realm was one of the great dividers for spiritual power. He was diligent in cultivating his purple demon eyes, hoping to break through as soon as possible. By his estimations, he would reach the Spirit Sea realm by the time he broke the 4th seal at the latest. Tang Wulin's head pounded from the spiritual wave's after effects. He simultaneously had to deal with Xiao Qianqian's attack. Pressure on his shoulders, he summoned his golden soul ring, activating Golden Dragon Body. His golden aura flared, the scales on his arms spreading to cover the rest of his torso. Veins of the same color came to life all over his body, his blood essence surging. He squatted and curled into a ball. On a different side of the arena, Xie flashed forward mid-flight as he slashed with his light dragon dagger, sending out a beam of light at Jiyu Qianming. His figure flickered as he accelerated, leaving a trail of after-images. In Ji Qianming's eyes, Xie seemed to have multiplied. He couldn't make sense of what he was seeing and flapped his wings, sending barrage after barrage of feathers at Xie. Yet, each time they were about to hit their target, Xie evaded them. He reached Ji Qianming in a flash. However, Xie's light dragon dagger was blocked. Still, as Ji Qianming attempted to counter, a golden light flashed beneath his feet. His leg went rigid, the sensation slowly spreading up his body. Seizing the opportunity, Xie changed grips on his light dragon dagger and slashed at Ji Qianming's wings, relying on the momentum to somersault over him. Body frozen by the golden light, Ji Qianming was defenseless before Xie's swift and continuous assault. Xie danced around in the air, too fast for his opponent to react. Mobility stripped away and unable to keep up with Xie, a sense of dread began to close in on Ji Qianming. When one of his wings finally went stiff, Xie took advantage of the opening and somersaulted above him once more. He launched into Light Dragon Storm and beat the older youth to the ground. But he had backup. After Han Yuchang sent a spiritual attack in Tang Wulin's direction, she hurried toward Ji Qianming to help restrain Xie. Yet her instincts screamed danger. Indeed, she fell from the air before she could react. Something had flown right past her. Something invisible. Her eyes went wide with alarm. "Don't move," someone said from behind her. An arm wrapped around her waist, a cold blade held to her neck. "Your spiritual attacks are really strong. I'm not sure I would be able to resist them. But what I am certain of is that if you attack, my dagger will slice your face or your neck. So descend slowly." Never had Han Yuchang been treated so roughly. She flushed with fury. Despite that, there was nothing she could do. She couldn't risk trying to break free. Her only option was to suppress her anger and land at a snail's pace. Along with subduing Han Yuchang, Xie had wrapped things up with Ji Qianming as well. 2 people down by his own hands. Meanwhile, Tang Wulin was still curled up weathering Yizishu's attacks. Bamboo leaves filled the sky as they swarmed Tang Wulin, Ji Yu, Shu Lishi, and Xu Xiaoyan, whose starlight aura shone brilliantly. The 7 golden leaves were hidden among the swarm, each with their own target. Ji Yu remained calm before the incoming assault. Gales whipped around her, creating a wind wall that stopped the leaves from approaching. In a flash of silver, she teleported out of Xiao Qiantian's path to Xu Xiaoyan's side. As for Shu Lishi, he remained near Tang Wulin. He didn't need to babysit the 2 girls. Just as Ji Yu was about to unleash an elemental barrage to protect Xu Xiaoyan and herself, she felt an intense energy fluctuation beside her. She turned to Xu Xiaoyan in astonishment. In a soft voice, Xu Xiaoyan said, "Starlight burst." Xu Xiaoyan raised her radiant star wheel ice staff high into the air. Starlight burst out of it like fireworks, bathing the entire arena in its brilliance. Under the starlight, the bamboo leaves dispersed into nothing, leaving the 7 golden leaves to hover in the air. Xiao Qiantian, Yizishu, Han Yuchang, and Ji Qianming, who was tied up by gold song, glowed with a golden light, before collapsing to the ground completely drained of energy. Suddenly, the world dyed gold. Xu Xiaoyan slowly stood up straight, starlight shimmering brightly around her as if she was a descended goddess. Her forehead began to shine, then a mark similar to her star wheel appeared branded between her brows. As soon as the mark appeared, the starlight settled into a gentle glow. They had found their master. All the circuits in the observatory fled, and the stars in the sky shined brighter. As starlight eagerly rushed to bestow their stellar energy on her, Xu Xiaoyan started to float into the air. Tang Wulin straightened from his curled form and gaped at the scene before him. He was both amazed and sincerely happy for Xu Xiaoyan. Even in his wonder, he didn't forget to finish restraining Xiao Qiantian, throwing a strand of blue-silver grass to catch the falling Yizishu as well. Xie separated from the falling Han Yuchang before they crashed into the ground and rolled upon landing to minimize any damage. He stood up and stared at Xu Xiaoyan, awed by the magical sight of her. Everyone could tell from her aura that she was transforming on a fundamental level. This was a martial soul evolution. Only a soul evolution could produce such powerful energy fluctuations and display. Li Zhilong stared in shock, utterly dumbfounded. He never imagined such a thing would happen. In reality, even if Xu Xiaoyan hadn't made a move, victory would have been theirs. Neither Xiao Qiantian's attacks or Han Yuchang's spiritual attacks posed a threat to Tang Wulin. Furthermore, after taking on Yuan and Yehui's attack directly, Tang Wulin's ability to take a beating was undoubtedly the best. The Sky Order Star Ocean Academy team may be filled with excellent and powerful students with 4 soul rings, but they were nothing compared with Yuan and Yehui. The gap between them wasn't something as small as a single level. If she were present, she would decimate the entire Sky Order team by herself. The only reason why Tang Wulin was so cautious was because of the observatory. He never imagined that it would actually help them instead, even evolving Xu Xiaoyan's martial soul. Yi Xinglan reappeared in the air in a flash of light. A golden glow emanating from her as she basked in the starlight, her star-god sword shining brilliantly. She was absorbing the stellar energy as well. Compared to Xu Xiaoyan, however, she was absorbing far less. She gently descended to the ground and immediately sat down cross-legged to begin meditating. Opportunity only knocks once, and as a student of Shrek Academy, she knew not to let opportunities slip out of her hands. The golden aura of the Sky Order Star Ocean Academy students gradually dissipated and their abilities returned to normal. They all stared in shock at the scene before them. They all knew that there was no need to continue fighting. The victors had long since been determined. Tang Wulin walked over to Li Zhilong with swift steps and said in a hushed voice, "Senior, what do you think?" Li Zhilong snapped out of his daze. Does her martial soul have some connection with stars? Tang Wulin nodded. Li Zhilong took in a deep breath to calm himself. I have never seen anyone with such a strong affinity with stellar energy before. It's really just, he wanted to say that it would be fantastic if she joined his academy, but held his tongue. After all his years at Sky Order Star Ocean Academy, he had gained a profound understanding of the observatory. Xu Xiaoyan clearly would grow stronger by leaps and bounds thanks to this baptism of starlight. She couldn't be anything but a genius. If she were one of his students, then Sky Order Star Ocean Academy could progress to the next level. Unfortunately for him, she was from Shrek Academy. Senior, can I request that you don't turn off the observatory? Xiaoyan, she's... Tang Wulin's words trailed off as he glanced back at Xu Xiaoyan. Of course. Li Zhilong interrupted. She might not be a student of my academy, but what she's experiencing right now is also valuable research data for us. We'll record what's happening for further research on how stellar energy can be used. Don't worry, stellar energy is infinite. There's no harm in letting her absorb as much as she wants. He turned to his 6 students. You guys better pay attention and focus on sensing what's happening with the stellar energy. Do your best to understand its secrets. Yes? Xiao Qianqian answered in place of his teammates. After their defeat, they weren't in the best condition. As the geniuses of the next generation at Sky Order Star Ocean Academy, they were a proud bunch. They would definitely have 6 rings by the time they turned 20, and 3 of them were expert control types. They dominated all of the tournaments and competitions in the vicinity of Sky Order City. Xiao Qianqian in particular stood out the most with his mighty Demon King martial soul. Yet today, they had lost to kids from Shrek Academy who didn't have a single flying-type soul master and had weaker cultivation bases compared to them. It was a crushing defeat and had hit their pride deeply. Xu Xiaoyan continued absorbing stellar energy for a little over an hour before she slowly descended to the ground. Her entire body was covered in specks of light. Tang Wulin counted them. There were 365 in total. Xu Xiaoyan sat down cross-legged, circulating her soul power according to the mysterious heaven method. The 365 twinkling specks of light faintly pulsed with life as her staff hovered upright in the air. It transformed from blue to gold, the star wheel on the tip of her staff morphing into a symbol similar to the stars. Simply looking at it felt like peering into the vast expanse of the starry heavens. Her martial soul had evolved, strengthening her star wheel, and while her soul power hadn't increased, it was much more purer than before. Her body had also been refined by the starlight and improved. Xu Xiaoyan had always been the weakest member of her team, only able to contribute in a significant way at night with her star wheel shackles. Now, however, she was entirely different. The stars in the observatory gradually dimmed and returned to normal as Xu Xiaoyan finished absorbing the rest of the starlight lingering around her. Her pretty face now had an enchanting luster to it, almost to the point of sparkling. Taking a deep breath in, she slowly opened her eyes. When everyone's curious stares greeted her, she immediately blushed crimson. "How do you feel?" Tang Wulin asked. Xu Xiaoyan knitted her brows. "Wonderful. I can't quite explain it, though." After taking in her expression, Tang Wulin understood the meaning behind her words. This wasn't the place to talk. "Senior, sorry for troubling you today. Xiaoyan is fine now, so we'll take our leave," Tang Wulin said to Li Zhilong. "Junior sister," Li Zhilong said, turning to Xu Xiaoyan. "Your transformation is very interesting. We recorded it for research purposes. Would you mind giving me your contact information so we can discuss any findings we have in the future?" "Okay." After gaining so much from the encounter, Xu Xiaoyan had no reason to refuse. Still, he wouldn't be able to contact her until she returned to Shrek Academy, seeing that she had left behind her communicator. They tiptoed through the gates of Sky Order Star Ocean Academy and jumped into their beat-up car. Xie turned on the ignition, driving to the next city without relying on a map. "Our match with the local academy went pretty well," Tang Wulin said. "We learned a lot too. Let's do the same in the next city, but more tactful this time." Gu glanced at him. "Will we be as lucky in the next city?" "It definitely helped to meet a Shrek alumni back there." Tang Wulin smirked and thrust a hand into a pocket, retrieving a piece of paper. "Shrek Academy is the greatest academy on the continent, so who wouldn't want to hire our alumni? Before we left, I asked Senior Li to give me a list of alumni at different academies and their contact information. With this list, we can just call ahead to arrange a formal match." "That works," Gu stared at him, gaping. "Was this your plan from the beginning, Captain?" Xu Xiaoyan practically sparkled. We should have just done this from the start." Tang Wulin beamed. Her enthusiasm was contagious. "Xiaoyan, your martial soul evolved, right? How are you feeling?" Xu Xiaoyan aimed her gaze elsewhere, a pensive look to her eyes. "Yeah. It did. I still can't believe the amount of stellar energy they had there. At first, I couldn't understand what was happening, but after a moment I realized that the stellar energy was fusing with my martial soul and causing it to rapidly grow. I guess you could call it an awakening. If my guess is correct, then before this match my martial soul had yet to finish maturing. Or maybe you could say it was flawed. That's why it had different abilities between day and night. Although I made up for that flaw as I cultivated, the reality was that it was still there, lurking. It would have affected me in the future. By absorbing the stellar energy, I washed away the impurities of my martial soul. If that's the case, why didn't your soul power increase more?" Tang Wulin asked. Xu Xiaoyan smiled wryly. "There's no such thing as a free meal. The flaw in my martial soul was erased, but so was something else. My Star Wheel Ice Staff is just a star staff now. The stellar energy cleaned my martial soul of its ice attribute, leaving only the star attribute." Tang Wulin stared at her, eyes wide. "Really? So your ice attribute soul skills are gone?" Xu Xiaoyan nodded. "And after your staff changed, your soul skills changed too?" Gu asked. Xu Xiaoyan smiled. "Of course. My gains wouldn't make up for the loss otherwise. All of my soul skills evolved along with my martial soul. They are nothing like before. I'll show you guys in the next match. I'm like Captain now. An assault control type." Tang Wulin flashed her a thumbs up. After her transformation, her confidence was near tangible. He turned to face his other teammate with a star attribute martial soul. "Xinglan, what about you? You absorbed a lot of stellar energy back there too. How do you feel?" Yi Xinglan smirked. "My martial soul was already stable to begin with. the stellar energy only helped me increase my soul power. I'm at rank 40 now. Rank 40. Xie and Shulishi flipped around in their seats, looking at her in shock. Shulishi beamed at her. Big sis Xinglan, congratulations. You're finally at rank 40. Yi Xinglan returned his smile and nodded. Once she fused with one more spirit soul to gain her 4th soul ring, she would become a soul ancestor. She was the first of their team to reach rank 40. With her skills and her powerful Star God sword, she would be on par with Yuan and Yehui. Following the initial surprise, Tang Wulin diverted his attention to Xie. Don't enter the highway just yet. We need to buy a soul communicator first. Understanding Tang Wulin's intentions at once, Xie quickly did as he was told. Soul communicator in hand, Tang Wulin began calling some numbers. Hello, you Senior Zhong, an alumni from Shrek Academy? We're current students from Shrek Academy. Just as Tang Wulin had expected, in the cities on their list, the Shrek Academy alumni working at local academies were more than happy to help their juniors. They all instantly agreed to arrange a match for Tang Wulin's group. Additionally, it would benefit their own students. The next couple of days went by without a hitch. They had 2 matches each day, and pretty soon they finished their 9th. All that was left was a match in Bright City. Does the Imperial Sun Moon Soul Engineering Academy really not have any Shrek alumni? Aren't they ranked as one of the best academies on the continent? How can that be? Asked Xu Xiaoyan, scanning through the list of Shrek Academy alumni once more. Tang Wulin cracked a faint smile. I heard from one of our seniors that the Imperial Sun Moon Soul Engineering Academy had once been destroyed, and that it had something to do with Shrek. Since then, they've been hostile with and refused to recruit anyone from our academy. Of course, none of our seniors would want to work there anyway. Even though they can't compare with us, the grudge the Sun Moon Academy holds against us is as deep as ever. Then why are we picking that place? Blurted Xie. From what I've heard, their students are the elite of the elites. A lot of the higher-ups in the Federation graduated from there. Shouldn't we pick a different place? A confident smile flashed across Tang Wulin's face, eyes bright with determination. Did you forget what the point of this exercise is? Shrek took away our belongings and kicked us out so that we could learn as much as possible. We can't just slack off on this exam. We need to gain something from this journey. Or, Tang Wulin stared Xie straight in the eye. Are you telling me you're scared? A pause. Then, as if a bolt of lightning had struck him, Xie's eyes popped. Grinning, he flashed Tang Wulin a thumbs up. Xu Xiaoyan fidgeted in her seat, energy and excitement twisted so tightly like a cord about to snap. Yeah. Let's go. I haven't had a chance to do anything in the last few matches. Yi Xinglan shrugged. Yeah. I need to show off too. Meanwhile, Gu caught Tang Wulin's attention, holding his gaze. It's the final match. He broke into a grin. There was no better opponent to finish their exam with than an old rival. They couldn't afford to lose. If you win, you'll get bonus points. The imposing, cold voice resounded in the car, giving everyone a fright. Teacher Wu. Tang Wulin cried out in surprise as he looked out the window. Wu Zhongkong ran alongside their speeding car, easily keeping pace while maintaining measured breaths. The corner of Tang Wulin's mouth twitched. Teacher Wu, you heard us. Wu Zhongkong shot him a sideways glance, nodding. You'll all have the honor of representing Shrek Academy and you're not allowed to lose against them. I'll accompany you as your team's teacher. With a teacher accompanying them, their challenge would be recognized as an official match. How many bonus points? Tang Wulin asked hesitantly. If you win, all of you will get full marks plus 10 bonus points each. Each and every one of you will have over 50 points to spare for your classmates. Deal. Tang Wulin said. They could easily accomplish their goal with so many extra points. Tang Wulin had done the mental math. 300 points to spare was a great incentive. Just imagining how many people they could save from failing the exam and being expelled fired him up even further. However, Wu Zhangkong's next words served as a pail of ice water over their heads. But if you lose, you all fail. What? That's so harsh? Tang Wulin dropped his jaw, dumbstruck. You don't understand just how deep the grudges between our two academies run. If you lose, I'll shoulder the responsibility and resign from Shrek Academy as well, Wu Zhongkong declared solemnly. This video will end here. Like video and subscribe to my channel.